Um, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live today. We have Siena Boney and Steven Barney, the owners of Safari Station, in today. We're going to be talking about their business, how they got started, what they do, and the animals that they care for, and the services they provide, and all that jazz. So it's going to be a really good episode. So stick around and enjoy the show. All right, so real quick, before we get really started, I'm going to tell you about our presenting sponsor, Chase Group Construction. They take the lead and become your one point of contact for the entire design build process. So if you're looking to build something like a business or anything, they build it, and they also can renovate too. They are a design build firm, so they start from the very beginning of the conception phase through the completion phase. They do all of it. They do everything. They're a design, architect firm, and construction company. They have a diverse portfolio of projects that range from medical centers to popular restaurants and multi-unit shopping centers. They do all the stuff. ChaseGroupConstruction.com. Check them out. Local company, and they are supporting us, which we like to think that we're local. Some people don't think we're local, but we are. I don't know. Why would you think that? But anyway, we appreciate Chase Group. So let's go ahead and get this conversation started. So you can see now on your screen, if you're watching, I got Siena and Steven right here. Welcome to this little thing that I have.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys introduce yourselves. Just kind of give us a little bit of a high-level, 30,000-foot view of who you are. And we'll kind of get into, after the introductions, we'll kind of get into the nuts and bolts of, like, you know, are you from here? If you're not from here, how'd you move here? Or, like, if you were born and raised here, why'd you stay here? We'll get into that. But short introductions. So Siena, if you want to go ahead and start it off.
Okay. Well, my name is Siena Boney, and I am one of the founders of Safari Station. I really specialize in more of being hands-on with kids when we go out and bring the animals to the kids, and kind of do more of the in the front marketing, online, all the people stuff. And then some animal care, but more, I'm usually the one out there doing our presentations and things like that.
That's awesome.
The talking. She does a lot of the talking.
Yeah, so she's kind of the face.
Mm-hmm,
All
exactly.
right. And Steven,
And
go
I'm
ahead.
Steven Barney. I'm the bug guy, basically. And I've been called worse, like a bunch of different things. But I do,
You've been called worse. Like, hold up. Like,
Beetlejuice.
Oh,
Beetlejuice.
Spider-Man.
Your email is Beetlejuice, right?
the maggot guy.
Ew.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so funny. No, I was like, wait, your thing was Beetlejuice. Yeah. Maggot guide?
Yeah.
Guy.
Maggot
Yeah.
guy. Ooh.
That was from
That's a name.
a TV show.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I go ahead.
But yeah, sorry. No, I just do all the bugs. So we kind of basically were doing the same thing, but separate. Like, she was more vertebrates and, bigger things, usually cuter things.
Yeah, and you're creepy crawlies.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I do the snakes.
Yeah.
Those are creepy, but not
Snakes
crawly.
and lizards. Some people.
But
Yeah. No,
and I think he does more of, like, the business side of things, which I appreciate.
You got to
because,
have that.
Yeah, it's not my forte.
Yeah.
So we work well together.
That's good.
She does
That's good.
the front end, and I do more of the.
Well,
the
it seems like a
behind-the-scenes
good business partnership, because you guys, like you said, we're doing something very similar in a sense, but putting it together just works, because now you have so many different options for people. If they want bugs, or if they want all of it, or if they want snakes and birds, you can just put it all together. And you guys were at the Cajun Heartland State Fair this year, and that was really cool to kind of see the tent, walk through, and I had some family members they were able to touch a snake and some other stuff, and then turtles and tortoises. And I'm like, yeah, these people are local, and they're like right there. So like typically Cajun Heartland, they hire out like people that travel. It was just really cool to see that you guys are from town, that you have your own booth there. So it was nice to see that.
It was fun.
We really, really appreciate the Cajun Dome is always trying to do things to kind of help support us, and we had done the fair once before, I think before COVID.
Ages ago now.
Yeah. So it was really nice to be out there despite the heat.
Yeah. Oh no.
Our reptiles loved it. We didn't so much.
Yeah. Oh, no, you didn't need heat lamps.
No, we sure didn't.
0 heat lamps.
All right. So we'll get into some more of the creepy crawly and animals talk in a second. But Siena, are you originally from Lafayette area?
Not really. I was actually born in New Mexico.
Okay.
And we followed my dad around. He's a professor.
No wonder you like hot reptiles type stuff.
Yeah, I've been chasing lizards outside since before I can remember. But we ended up here just about before I went into high school, and then I've
early 2000s.
Yeah. And then I've moved away a couple times and had some incredible experiences, but ultimately I came back because of family and food, mostly food, and I have no desire to leave. I want to travel, I want adventure, but I think this is where I'll be for forever.
That's awesome. That's the most common thing that I hear people say is if they have moved away, whether they were from here or originally or not, they make their way back either because of family, but it's usually always food.
Yeah.
It's almost always food because they're like, the food elsewhere, it's okay. There's good food other places, but something about the food here, it's just different. It's just richer.
And my parents are both Yankees, so we grew up like, all right, this is pretty good. And then we came here and we were like, whoa. Wow. And of course, now I'm married to a chef, a Cajun chef. So I get my fill of Cajun food.
What is this flavor? It's like, is this cayenne? So a Cajun chef, huh? Like, do we know him?
Well, he works at Social.
Oh, all right.
He's probably seen in the window very often.
Yeah, nice. How long has he been there?
About 5 years.
Okay.
He's been with Social. I think he started there right at the end of the pandemic, but he was with that company for quite a while before that, and they were just amazing through the whole pandemic and through everything, just being really supportive of him and moving him up and training him. So.
Nice. Yeah. So you got really good food in your neck of the woods. Yeah. All right. And so where have you moved to? Okay, obviously from New Mexico, moved here in early high school area. Where have you moved out of or moved to outside of Lafayette?
So as an adult, I moved, I lived in New Orleans, of course.
Okay, yeah.
But I spent some time in Tampa and Tallahassee, Florida. And then also lived in Moab, Utah, and Leadville, Colorado.
That seems to be all the places that if I was to ever guess a creepy crawly animal lover would go to find these reptiles and stuff. Those are the places I would say.
Yeah.
Florida especially, and then Utah. I mean Moab. That sounds like a desert.
Yes, it was, and it was amazing. It was such a cool place to live. But
yeah,
I miss my family, and I miss that green chili out in Utah. They love it. I'm okay with it, but I prefer my gumbo.
Yeah. The brown food. All right. Well, cool. Steven, are you originally from here?
So I was born in Baton Rouge when my dad was going to LSU, but I don't remember it. So I grew up in Acadiana, and actually most of the time not too far from here, just right into Broussard.
Okay.
My grandparents lived there, and we lived on the same property for a while, and then moved out to Arnaville, and then Florida. Like my high school years were Florida.
What part of Florida?
Vero Beach.
Okay.
It's a tiny little speck on the coast between Orlando and Miami.
Okay, so on the Atlantic side.
Yeah.
Oh, the cold side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
So and then moved back, and then Austin, and then moved back. Yeah.
Oh, you had
kind
a
of the
stint
same
in
thing
Austin, huh?
Yeah.
So what brought you back to Lafayette? I mean, you've lived in a couple places.
Yeah, pretty much the same kind of thing. The food and family.
Yeah. Seems to be the most common thing. I ask everybody, what is it? And it's usually food and family.
Draws you back slowly, you know.
And also another thing that's pretty common is, especially if it's like people that are single initially, they come here, they meet a Cajun woman or a Cajun man, and then they're like, I'm kind of stuck because, especially if it's a woman, the woman's not leaving her family.
No.
The woman's staying. And, it just kind of happens with the men, too. So
yeah, there's no way my husband would move away. We're
so
close
wild.
with his family.
I thought about moving away out of Louisiana. I wasn't born and raised in Lafayette. I was born in Alexandria, raised in Turkey Creek. So we had our own fair share of wildlife in the woods there, but only an hour north of Lafayette. I've lived in Lake Charles. That's it. And I haven't really lived too many other places. But I've thought about like moving to Las Vegas once for work, and I thought that would have been cool. I'm glad that didn't happen because I feel like that would have been just a life-sucking atmosphere. Because the lights and the glitz and the glam of it all kind of had me like, ooh, I want to be here. And then I almost moved to Fort Smith, Arkansas. Both of the scenarios would have been for graphic design, but I ended up staying in Louisiana, and then. Got a call to come to Lafayette, and I was like, something about Lafayette. I don't know what it is. It's only an hour south from where I'm at, but I like it here. And we visited as a kid here before, but I was like, something about it is just different.
There's really something special about Lafayette.
It really is. I don't know. And people have tried to put their finger on it, it's the culture. Well, what is the culture? It's very mixed. In fact, some people that were not originally from Louisiana that moved to Louisiana, experienced the Lafayette area, and then has since moved away to the West Coast, have come back and said that now that they have had experiences across both sides of the U.S., Lafayette is truly one of the most culturally diverse places, the southern Louisiana area in general, but it's truly more culturally diverse than those places that they've been to. Like especially demographic-wise, like there are far less black people in the cities on the West Coast, especially the Oregon area. That's like mostly white.
Yeah.
But we have a larger diversity here, and that contributes to cultural differences and diversity there. So really cool stuff. That we can talk about Lafayette all day long, and the good stuff about that. But so now going back to the business side of it. When did both of you guys start messing around with animals and bugs?
Wow. You go.
Okay, well, day one, always out. I was the weird lizard girl, always outside looking at lizards and bugs.
You've embraced that.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'd wear the little lizards as earrings.
Or whether the ones that look like it's biting your ear?
Yeah. No, they would bite your ear.
Wait. You're talking about real lizards.
Oh, yeah.
I thought she was talking about like the jewelry that looked like it was. No.
Yeah.
You did the whole lizard biting the ear thing.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. Some kids around me would do that. I'm like, I liked catching the lizards, but I didn't want them to be on my ear for some reason.
I was the weird. I have always been the weird one. But always really into reptiles until once I kind of was like, all right, I guess I need to figure out a career. I decided to get into dog training. And so I went to school to train dogs, and I did that for quite some time. And 15 years ago, dog training was not as popular as it is now.
Right.
So a little bit harder to get into work. So I got into the vet tech field, and then just kind of loved working with animals all different ways I can. And when we had moved back to Lafayette from Colorado, I had a real young baby, but I had also just been sitting inside by myself for years while, my husband at the time was off working. So I just wanted to get back into work, and I ended up just getting a little job at one of the big box pet stores as a dog trainer. And that kind of got me back into my reptile obsession. So when I left working there, I said, how can I like play with reptiles and kids? Like, I love kids, I love reptiles. How can I make this into a career? So I just kind of slowly started like bringing them to parties. And then I remember like my first elementary school, I was so nervous to go talk to a bunch of, 5-year-olds.
You were nervous to talk to 5-year-olds?
Oh, yeah.
That seems like it'd be pretty easy.
Well, it is. I love it now.
Yeah, right.
I live for it. But, I had never been really a public speaker in any sense, I didn't even like leading dog training classes.
No, you had lizards hanging off your ear. You're not a public speaker.
Yeah, and now people pay to watch me talk about lizards while they hang from my ears. No, I don't do that anymore. So that kind of turned into, so I started just as, I called myself Schoolhouse Reptiles, and just started small. And then we started working with a petting zoo that kind of had more exotics, and ended up absorbing them. They were called Zoom, and they had been around for a really long time, but then the owners sold the company to an individual who wasn't really prepared to take it on. So I kind of absorbed that and became Schoolhouse Safari. So then we went from just reptiles to also having birds and mammals. And then by this point, Stephen and I were working together a lot.
And what year was this roughly? What year was this roughly?
I started in 2017, and I think by 2019 I had taken Zoom, and we were working side by side all the time, but separately, like as separate companies.
So you said around 2017 to 2019 era.
Yeah, and then we tried to start this like a 3-way partnership with the bugs, and then with us that had birds and mammals and reptiles, and then with a local pet store that had mostly aquatics. And we did that for a little bit, but then the pandemic came and pretty much wiped that all out. And we had to rehome a lot of our animals. We ended up rehoming them to a lot of zoos around the country. And because at the time we had some bigger animals, like a porcupine and Patagonian cavies.
Wow.
But, kept what we could over the pandemic, and also just had so much support from the community. We would put on these free encounters online and do all sorts of stuff. And for a while, we would really get a lot of engagement. And there would even be little small classes that would play our videos in the classroom, which was wonderful. And in turn, they would send a lot of like produce and animal food from our Amazon wish list. And I don't think there's no way I would have been able to feed all those animals through the pandemic without the support of Lafayette. So ever grateful for that. But we made it through that, and then just kind of picked up the pieces. And then by this time last year, Stephen and I were like, all right, let's do this. Let's be together. And I think it's time. Well, actually, we talked a lot about having a brick and mortar. And I was like, I don't know if we're ready yet. And then Stephen's like, well, I'm looking at places. And I'm like, oh, okay, but I don't think we should do this. And Stephen said, okay, we got a place.
Wow.
So we got a place, and I appreciate it because.
So before the brick and mortar, you guys had a trailer or a van, right?
Yeah. We just all the bugs lived at his house. Mm-hmm. All the birds and the mammals and the reptiles all lived mostly at my house, but also like our 2 helpers. We've got 2 girls that work for us, and they're amazing. They kept some of them at their house, and my sister kept some at her house, which helped a little bit. But
I could imagine it being noisy in your house.
Smelly.
Oh,
noisy, smelly. Yeah, it was.
And you had your husband at the time, right, too, right?
Mostly through that time, I was between husbands.
Okay.
My now ex-husband had moved to New Orleans.
Okay.
And my current husband didn't know he was my husband.
He didn't know what he. Okay. And he had no clue what he was in for yet.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, and I also had a baby in 2018.
Wow.
Just to add to all the other chaos.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's crazy. That sounds chaotic.
Yeah, it's still chaotic. Our lives are absolute chaos. We always have whatever animal issues.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Steven, what about you?
Yes.
When did you start?
Well, it's funny. So basically, if you take the core of her story and just switch her for me and reptiles for insects, like some of my earliest memories were keeping bugs in jars and just watching them.
Yeah.
Like, 5 or 6 years old, long time ago. And then most of my adult life was computers, like tech support and stuff.
Yep. Okay.
And when I was in Austin, I worked up there in tech support. And then that's actually kind of when I got back into bugs and beetles, especially, as there was that's a whole another story. But bugs used to come to lights in parking lots at night. They don't as much anymore, but
Because a different type of light.
yeah, now everyone's using LEDs and they have filters that filter out UV light.
Wow.
So back in the day, you could go travel around.
This was the guy in the middle of the night at the gas
Yeah, if you
station
ever
with
seen
like a net and a jar.
Yeah.
And the people that are on the sidewalk of the store drinking their little beer going, what is this guy doing?
But in the parking lot, there was a beetle that I wanted to identify, and I didn't know what it was, and just found this whole online community of people that kept bugs, and beetles especially.
Yeah.
And just kind of snowballed from there slowly,
Okay.
over the years, replacing
Tech
computer
support.
tech support was like,
Bug support.
yeah.
Yeah, when we first started together, he was still doing the computer job, and we were all like, just quit. And then one day it finally happened, and we got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's also leaving out. He's a published author.
Okay.
And he's
not trying to give himself too much credit.
Yeah, he provides beetle food and substrate for like almost all the zoos in the country.
Wow.
And also has worked on at least a dozen movies and TV shows with animals, mostly bugs, but other stuff too. Traveling around.
How come
doing
you
that.
wouldn't have mentioned that? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I had to pull that out from you. Well, thank you, Siena, for that.
The public speakers. But yeah, it's always rough, but it's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love the transition from tech support, from finding bugs in computers, so now you're literally chasing bugs in a parking lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love that. It just makes so much sense. So in your progress of, bug hunting, what are some of the coolest bugs that you've come across during your stints of netting in the parking lot?
Well, most of them are cool. I'd like to say they're all cool, but
Yeah. They all cool in their own right, but like there's got to be some really unique ones. You're like, wow, this is cool.
So, and Louisiana especially has a lot of the cool stuff, like stag beetles and rhinoceros beetles and
we have all
bugs.
that?
Yeah,
Wow.
stick bugs,
We've
leaf
got some
cutter
amazing
ants,
things, but they stay underground.
tarantulas, scorpions, centipedes.
I remember being a kid, and somebody came to our house. Apparently, we knew them somehow, but they had this jar that had a tarantula in it, and it was dead. I'm like, where did you find this? As a kid, I was like, I've never seen a tarantula in my life in person. They're like, oh, it was just in our backyard, and we found it. I'm like, you found this here? I said, stop it. They're crawling around in our backyards, and we just don't see it.
A lot of people don't realize it, but yeah, we've got tarantulas and scorpions right here.
Wait, we have scorpions too?
2 species of scorpions. Not here in Acadiana, tarantulas or scorpions, because it's too moist. It's too
Okay.
humid down here, but
North
piney
Louisiana.
woods, yeah.
So the tarantula that I'm talking about was found in Turkey Creek, so a little bit further north, almost Alexandria. So a lot of pine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And sandy soil, rocky, drier.
This one was like red. It's pretty much red dirt the further you go up north.
Yep. Yeah, so we have one species of tarantula in Louisiana.
Wow.
And that kind of started my tarantula obsession, where, tarantulas, you see, the picture books, and they're from South America, whatever, but we had one right here in Louisiana.
And there's so many different types, and they're so interesting. There's curly-haired and ones with blue hair, and tiny, and one's big enough to eat a bird. They're really cool.
So I've always been fascinated with tarantulas. I've watched my fair share of Discovery Channel when Discovery Channel was actually a channel that you can discover stuff. And same thing with TLC. You don't learn anything on the Learning Channel anymore. That's what TLC stands for. If you haven't figured that out, people. But Discovery Channel, I remember them talking about. I don't know if this is the technical name. I'm pretty sure it's not. It sounds just like a more fun name. The dinner plate spider. And apparently it's so big that it's almost the size of a traditional dinner plate.
Yep.
And I want to say this is an Australian spider.
That's actually South America.
South American?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had one for a while. But it's a more used common name is a bird eater tarantula. And they, scary big.
God.
There's also worms the size of snakes that exist, but I've told Stephen we're not allowed to get any.
Why not?
Because that's
Someone doesn't like
gross
earthworms.
and weird and slimy. I don't know.
And we have those here?
Not in Louisiana.
No, we have
Okay.
to buy them.
Okay. I was about to say, look, I was about to start questioning everything I knew about the outdoors here because I was like, all right, there's some stuff that I need to know.
That you never see, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like leafcutter ants. You know, you always see them in the Amazon, on TV. They're in the Amazon, but they're that same area, central Louisiana.
Leaf cutter ants? Okay.
Where the ants cut a piece of leaf and
I've
carry
seen
it
that
underground.
on Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
And there's like little marches of ants with like little leaves.
Little leaf.
And they have their own little compartments. They even have a nursery and like a cemetery and
The ants do?
Yeah, underground.
They make their own little community in these
Little legit colonies.
Yeah. We hope to be able to have a really cool leafcutter ant display. We are very inspired by the one at the Insectarium in New Orleans, who is there. Stephen is a VIP over there.
Okay, of course.
And they've got the most amazing leafcutter display and dreams.
Yeah.
Future dreams.
Now I got to go to the, you said it's at the aquarium?
The Insectarium and the aquarium
they're
have
all the
just
same building?
merged.
Okay,
Yeah, and it's amazing.
Okay, and I need to go there. I need to take my kid. We went to the aquarium a while back. I think this is before they merged, and they had like renovations and everything. But now I need to go back because I want to see this.
But also keep in mind that next month at the Wonderland Performing Arts Center, we are hosting the 17th annual Insect Day. That he puts on an Insect Day every year. This is the 17th year, and he gets people from all over the state to come do displays with their live insects. So the Insectarium will be there for that, as well as I think about a dozen other local, lots of Acadiana, but all over Louisiana, bug people. And I guess we'll get to come and hold tarantulas, and sometimes we eat bugs, not alive.
Okay,
And,
like crickets, I'm sure, right? Yeah.
And get a chance to see thousands of insects right here.
Wow.
So.
Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna have to look into that because you had your grand opening, and I wanted to take my son there, but at the same day, we had a family function that we had to go to in New Orleans, and I'm like, oh my God. And I told my wife, I said, I wanted to go to this, but we absolutely could not miss this particular function. So I was so upset, but I was like, family has to come first, whatever. But yeah, so question about your animals and bugs. What, in your opinion, what is some of the most misunderstood things about the animals and bugs that you care for?
Do you want to go first?
like 2 or 3 of the most misunderstood things about the bugs and the animals that people tend to either ask or you have to educate people on. What are some of those things?
I think what's most important for me to tell people is that tortoises can't swim. And that's so important to me because my sister has literally walked out with someone holding one of our tortoise ambassadors who is 12 years old and probably about 25 pounds, getting ready to throw him into their pond.
No.
Because he had been at my sister's house, Atticus, had been at my sister's house, and the wind broke the door open, and he was wandering around the neighborhood in Youngsville, and somebody said, oh, a turtle. And if you put a tortoise, they'll sink right down to the bottom.
Ooh.
So I think a lot of people will see a tortoise on the side of the road, and we have native tortoises here, and we have so many pet tortoises that are being brought here, and they escape because they're so strong and they're sneaky, and I think people just see any type of turtle or tortoise and throw them in the water, and that is something that people should not do. But what I think that we help a lot of people understand is the quote, "The only good snake is a dead snake."
Oh,
we hear
yeah.
that every day, and like, yes, snakes can absolutely be very dangerous, and we tell all the kids that before we take any of the snakes out during encounters. But I just feel like there's so many situations that a snake is killed when it doesn't need to be. Snakes are really important to our ecosystem, and I mean, they protect us in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of resources around town that you can get someone to come move a snake for you if you're not comfortable doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
So I think I feel like even a lot of the teachers and counselors, you know, they'll talk, "Oh, this snake came into my house and I killed it so quickly," and it's like, okay, I understand that you felt nervous, and but I mean, these are living animals, and they're just trying to survive. So I think trying to teach people to be a little bit more understanding, and I think that goes for bugs too.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say I've never smushed a cockroach in my house.
But did you really kill it? Because, like, do cockroaches ever die?
That's true. Good point. Valid point.
The bug man will probably say, yeah, they do die.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, the teaching people that snakes, it's good to be cautious, but if you see a snake, I mean, if you see a bird, like, are you gonna run up and kill it? Like,
Right.
they're not trying. A snake's never gonna attack you, and if you think you were attacked by a snake, then you're remembering it wrong.
So.
Oh God, are you gonna tell me a snake attacked you?
Yes. Okay, so I was young. I was probably, I would say, dare to say 7, 8 years old, if that. I was walking, it was near the Turkey Creek area. We were living in an apartment that was kind of in the woods. And I was walking down the road as a kid. We were very active in being in the woods, and we just loved kind of being in nature and getting dirty. And plus, our parents said, "You're not coming inside the house until the lights turn on, and then when you do, you're going to get a bath and you're going to go to bed," type thing, you know. So we were out all day, and you know, we did come in to eat, and a lot of times we ate outside because they brought, you know, pizza outside, and we're like, "Here, y'all eat." But we're walking down the road, and I saw this snake, and my memory on it is, it's been years because I'm 38 now, and I was probably like 6 or 7, 8 years old at that time. I swear that the snake was blue. And whenever I saw it, now it very well could have been a larger, is it a skink or something that has like a bluish tint to it? It could have been that, but I think it was a snake. And I think I might have been hysterically too scared of it that I ran, and I think I remember looking back and remembering as if the snake was behind me. And I ran into the house thinking that the snake was about to bust down the door. So probably slightly irrational because I was a kid, but I swear that it was a blue snake that was chasing me. And I didn't get attacked, but I felt like my life was threatened for a second there. And I remember that one instance, even to this day, that's the only time I ever felt truly threatened by a snake. And then now I know that there's snakes called blue runners. And so now I'm thinking, well, what if it was a blue runner? But you're probably going to tell me blue runners are not from here.
I don't know. I don't know that, to be honest.
Things like coach whips and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're fast. But even if they caught up to you, they couldn't do anything to you.
Okay. So I was probably imagining being chased.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead.
Well, I mean, if you stepped on him or if you ran over him, you know, I mean, if he felt threatened, he would definitely strike at you.
Yeah.
But I
usually if you're going that way, it would
they
just
want
assume
to. Snakes don't want to be around us even more than they don't want to be. Than we don't want them.
Around us. Yeah.
And look, this is the same era of time in my childhood where I thought fireworks that spun on the ground were chasing me. So I was irrationally scared of things on the ground moving really fast.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and say that I was probably not being chased, but I remember as if I was being chased. So that's the memory. But now, and I'm going to call out my dad. My dad is the guy that would say a good snake is a dead snake, or whatever have you the saying is.
Yeah.
And while I don't fully disagree with his stance, because he was protecting us as kids.
Of course.
As an adult now, I know that as long as I don't mess with it, I'm fine. Now, if Bennett, my little boy, is outside and he sees one, sure, I'm going to come out. And if it's like something that I feel like needs to be taken care of right away, I might have to do what I have to do. But most of the time, if I see it, especially if it's little, it's scurrying off anyway, and I'm just going to leave it, and chances are we're not going to see it again. Or I will try my best to get the shovel and like try to pick it up and move it somewhere else to get out. But last week I was messing around. There's like a piece of a tree that is down in my yard that I'm trying to deal with, and it has like some leaves. And my little boy and I were playing catch, and the ball landed by this down piece of tree. And whenever I went to go pick up the ball, I swear I heard what sounded like a rattle.
Ooh.
And I basically almost like withdrew a nub, almost like freaked out. And I said, what was that sound? So I took a stick and I started kind of messing around with the leaves and didn't hear it. So I managed to get the ball back, but I was like, you know what? I didn't see it. I heard something. I didn't see it. I'm not going to mess with it because I just... I err on the side of if it's not messing with me, it's not trying to harm me in any certain way. Obviously, snakes are just trying to live on their own. I'm not going to mess with it.
Right.
And I try to teach my little boy the same thing. Like, he loves catching lizards. He loves it. He loves building his own terrariums outside, which is basically just jugs and buckets where he puts dirt in and catches crickets and worms, and him and his little friend down the road love to catch worms when it rains. And I'm just over there like, Bennett, that's so nasty. It's so nasty. And I don't mind. Like, I've played with bugs and all that stuff and crickets, and I've caught my fair share of bugs, but like he just lets it. There was one time he put a bunch of crickets in a jar or bucket, and it had a top open, but it rained that day. And so all those crickets got drowned, and it stunk so bad. I said, Bennett, whenever you're done playing with your terrarium, you're going to dump the terrarium out and let these little guys go.
Yeah.
You killed a gaggle of crickets or whatever you want to call them, a flock. You killed them, and it stunk so bad. Now I have to dump it out. So, but he loves that. He loves that kind of thing. So I look forward to trying to bring him. And I think we did the Cajun Heartland State Fair. I think he might have been with me. If not,
I think so.
I can't remember now. But I definitely want to bring him back and experience more of that because I think it's really cool. And like the zoos, even though some people don't care for zoos all that much, they're still fascinating to go see. But yeah. I don't know. Long story short, I've had my fair share of thinking that I was being attacked. Yes. But as far as like tarantulas and everything, man, I'm going back to that. I'm still so fascinated that we have them here in the state. I don't know. That's so cool. Anyway, all right. So, Steven, I know that you probably didn't get to answer the question of what are some misunderstandings or things that people tend to have or you educate people on.
Yeah. So, actually, going right back to tarantulas, one thing that we like to cover all the time is especially in the New World, like, U.S. and Central and South America, the tarantulas here, if they bit you, it would be like a bee sting.
Okay.
So the movies like to make them scary and like they're going to attack you and jump on your face or something.
You really have to be holding a tarantula for them to bite you because their mouth is
down.
On the So the main way that tarantulas usually protect themselves isn't by biting anyway. It's by kicking the hairs off of their backside, which, if you're a little animal, it's scary and dangerous. But for us, it's, that's cute. Like you're kicking tiny little, basically microscopic hairs at us. So yeah, they're sorry to take over, but yeah, tarantulas are not these terrible. I mean, if you're allergic to bees, they're dangerous.
Yeah,
okay.
But otherwise, no.
Okay.
I mean, there's some in Africa and Asia that have more, like, stronger venom, but even the bird-eater tarantula, if it bit you, it would hurt a lot, but usually not hospital visit. You know?
And same with scorpions.
Yeah.
He's been stung by a scorpion, and they'll actually pinch you first, and that would probably hurt even more than a scorpion.
Oh yeah,
sting.
they're like the little evil-looking crawfish. Yeah. The pinchers, man, they're so confusing because especially in South Louisiana, you would think, oh yeah, look at crawfish, and then you see the tail. Yeah, but so what's the deal with scorpions and a black light? Like, how come you can see them with a black light?
Well, their carapace fluoresces under UV light, black light. And there's a bunch of theories, but the one that we kind of like, the one that sounds good, the one that we like the most is that even under moonlight, which has, most of the full spectrum of light, they should glow slightly at night. So that could attract little moths to them and, let them eat them.
Wow.
But with a flashlight, it's amazing. Like it's like a neon sign.
That's
That's
so wild.
One of the most fun things to do is just walk around with a black light flashlight and see all the scorpions glow.
And you can do that here?
Yeah.
But not in...
Yeah, no, not in Acadiana, but...
Okay, still cool.
We all have to come out one year when he puts on bug stock.
Bug
He
stock,
and
all right.
his family put on bug stock every few years. They've got property out in Washington, and we camp out for the weekend and cook and spend the entire nights out looking at bugs. They put up these big white sheets with lights pointed at them, and it's a fun experience.
Yeah.
And he's been doing that forever. I've actually only been to one.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Years.
But you have to do it in the summer when all the bugs are out. So
out.
even at midnight, you're still drenched in sweat.
And still looking
walking
at bugs.
around looking at bugs.
2 a.m.
So over the summer, we had probably in my opinion, the most absurd amount of June bugs, beetles, flocking around our house. So much so that every morning, birds would come and pick off all the ones that were dead, and I'd have to go outside with the leaf blower and blow off all the June bugs, because a lot of them if they were not picked off all by the birds already, there were still like leaves and like the wing shell on the ground. I had to blow all that off, and I'm just now getting to a point where I don't have June bugs just dead every morning. And so what causes that? Why do they do that? Obviously, they're attracted to the light, but like, why so many? Is it a certain season? Is it a mating thing? Like, what is that about?
Yeah, so they go in different, kind of like a cicada, but not as regimented. Like you can't count on it, but it's the kind of ebb and flow of their cycles, and just some years in some spots. Like I haven't seen too many where I am in Lafayette, but every couple of years you'll get bunches of stuff.
Oh no, it's been really bad. We're to the point where we were hanging out on the patio one night, and we have the little string lights underneath the patio, and they're dimly lit. And we were still getting the June bugs flying to the walls and the lights, and they're clumsily flying around, and they would hit you and land on you, and they kind of pinch a little bit because of their legs, and it was almost to the point where it was becoming unbearable to sit outside because we had to have all the lights off to not have to do that. And then finally, at a certain point, all the June bugs were stuck on the wall, and they were content, but every once in a while there'd be one that was flying around and they would hit you. I'm just like, why are they so bad? I've never seen it this bad.
And probably next year it'll be back to normal where you are, but someone else will be more bothered.
Yeah, I know.
This is
I've just
weird
seen that
bug
over the
year,
years.
though, right?
Yeah.
Because there's also cicadas are out this year, and then there's tarantulas are
Yeah, that's kind of an every year thing.
mating
with the tarantulas.
crazy, I've been hearing.
And then I've seen stuff because last year, this time it was like drought. So like last year for bugs, it was bad. And I still kind of see that when I'm in the field. I don't see as many as I did the year before. But the rainfall is more normal now this year. So probably
Yeah.
next year.
I know
that,
like I said, the June bugs were wild. I'm like, this is just insane that there's so many. And then, you mentioned cicadas. So I have a question about cicadas. This thing about 17 years. Obviously, I see cicadas every year. But what's the deal with the 17-year thing? Does it really take 17 years for them to be like, hey, I'm coming out to party? What is this? What is that about?
So kind of, it's a weird scheduling thing that they figured out to where if they all emerge at the same time, then there's so many of them that, like, some of their top predators, like birds or skunks, raccoons, almost anything would eat them. But there's so many of them that all of those predators just get full and they're tired of cicadas. But then there's a bunch of ones that are still alive. So it's kind of some way that they figured out to, it's not really predator avoidance. They're just, there's so many of them.
Yeah. So what is the food source for cicadas?
So the larvae usually, as far as I know, they drink juices of roots underground.
Okay. That's why they're near trees all the
bugs,
time.
Yeah, they have a proboscis, so they don't have a chewing mouth part, even as adults. So they're like sucking things out of plants.
Okay.
Usually trees.
Okay, so they're a omnivore kind of. They eat more plant-based type
Yeah,
stuff.
plant-based.
They don't bite humans, do right?
They can, but it would be an accident. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'd think you're a tree, like if they were. I've been kind of bitten by one.
Wow. Does it hurt?
Ago. Yeah, kind of.
Okay. All right.
But there's no venom or anything, so it's just like the physical pain of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thinking that I was a tree, but yeah.
So I've had like cicadas fly into me, and like they're clumsy too, like a June bug, and just whack you. Like they're hard
And they're big, yeah.
Yeah, but I've always been able to just grab them on their wings, and the second you do, they start screaming.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you hear in the summer too. That's like the sound of summer that people take for granted. Is that screaming insect that you're not sure what it is. That's the cicadas just sitting in a tree, screaming bloody murder. But when you pick them up, they scream and vibrate, and it's like, it's so cool.
Ours is our dog always trying to run into the house with one in her mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Put it down.
Yeah. Like, what do you have now?
God, there's such... look, so when I've grown up in the country, how we were, my mom and dad, they would always call it a locust. I'm like, oh, yeah, pick up the locust. I'm like, as an adult... I learned that it was actually a cicada, and I'm like, I feel lied to. I like what in God's green earth did my parents think this was a locust? Whenever you Google, they didn't have Google in the 90s, but now when you look up a locust, or if you try to research it, it looks like a grasshopper. That's what it is. And so, where do they come up with this name? I guess traditionally it was passed down, and that's what they were calling it.
Cajun people just make up their own names.
They do, apparently. God, dog.
Because I remember when I was a kid hearing people call them locusts. And we had locusts in America, but they're extinct. Like, we don't have locusts, which is a type of grasshopper. We don't have locusts in the U.S. anymore.
Okay.
I think it was a Rocky Mountain locust.
Wow. And they're big, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like probably similar size. But, yeah.
Maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe it's a size thing, and maybe back in the day, they maybe just seen it. And
if people, when locusts were still around, and they just saw this big bug, they figured it was a locust maybe, and it just stuck.
Yeah, but no, I don't know. I love cicadas. I love looking for them. We'll go to some areas like parks or whatever, and we'll go next to the trees, and we're looking all along the tree, and we'll find the little shell. Every once in a while, you'll find one that's coming out. And I try to leave it alone and let it do its thing because it's like fresh and green. And I'm like, okay, be by yourself. But, my little boy, he loves collecting bug stuff. And so we'll grab a little cup and collect all the cicada
shells,
and just put them away. And then, like, when I was a kid, I'd put them on my clothes. I'd attach them to my clothes because they stick really good. Dude, it was... Bug stuff is so cool. Like, what you guys do is fascinating. I feel like you guys are living like like little kids, but adults
yeah.
and paying bills.
100%.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, especially me. I feel like, we do a lot of daycares in elementary schools. And, I spend a lot of time on the ground with the kids, just trying to explain to them, everything that they want to hear, which is amazing. And most days I'm like, how do I get paid for this?
Yeah.
The other days I get bit and pooped on, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm getting paid for this.
Yeah. Usually by the animals.
Yeah.
Not always the kids.
And going back to the tortoise thing, I don't think I've ever seen a tortoise out in the wild. Typically, it's like near ditches or waterways. I see little turtles, and if I see a turtle on the road, I typically, if I can stop, I will, and I'll just kind of move it out to the side. But a lot of times, if I can't stop, I go around it. I don't try to hit a turtle. If you try to hit a turtle, you're just mean. But yeah, I'll dodge it, and I'll look in my rearview mirror, and I'm like, "Come on, walk, buddy, walk."
Yeah.
You can do it.
But yeah, that's crazy that people were just throwing tortoises in the water.
Well, I think so many people try to they do things with the best intentions.
Yeah.
And
it's just not knowing.
Yeah. And I think with turtles and tortoises in general, like 99% of the time, the best thing to do is to leave them alone. Like maybe, yes, scooch them quickly, or of course, if you see a sea turtle that's washed up, even then, call someone. Like
a professional.
The best thing to do with animals most of the time is to just either leave them alone or call a professional.
Is it true that if you hit a wild animal on the road that you have to stop and call like wildlife services or something like that? I was always told, like, let's say for an example, an alligator. In Ville Platte, there was an alligator farm that they had. I think it's closed now. But there would be, I've never seen it, but my parents swore up and down that there would be sightings of alligators crossing the road. And I, to this day, have always thought, every time I pass by this one particular area going in and out of Ville Platte, I'm like, why haven't I seen an alligator crossing the road? Like, I feel like this is Louisiana. I should have seen it. But, like, I was always told, like, if you hit one, you have to pull over, you have to call wildlife services, and they got to come and deal with it and get, almost like a police report. Like, I don't know.
I haven't heard that, but I'm sure we know people that would know.
I don't know if that's rumor or just whatnot.
It's probably good to call. I mean, I, as a female, I'm not going to pull over on the side of the road if I'm by myself to make sure. Well, I don't know. I guess if it was a dog or a cat, maybe. But
yeah, you'd probably stop then.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think I doubt that it's a legal thing, but it's always best to call if you can. But also, I know sometimes, who do you call? You call one place and they tell you to call another.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's the most random call, too. Like, if, let's say you called 911, then you'd be like, why are you calling about this? And just kept driving, sir. Just keep driving.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always been told that. I'm like, and thankfully, I've never hit an alligator to have to figure out if I have to do that or not.
Yeah. Well, depending on the size alligator, your car might be more damaged than the alligator.
Yeah. You have to call a mechanic at that point. Call AAA. Never mind the alligator. My truck is broken. God. Is there anything else that is unique about what you guys do that people should know and have a good reason to check you guys out and book your services? Because you guys that are listening and watching, you can actually book a thing at a party.
Yeah, we do. We just, we try to be accessible to everyone. We try our best to work with budgets, volunteer when we can, help with fundraisers, and then, of course, do things for all ages. We have little kind of meet and greets with the babies that are like, they don't know what's going on, but at least mom and dad will get a cute picture of them, kind of touching a lizard.
Yeah.
And then, I think also Steven and I are avid travelers. We love to see the world, and I know a lot of people are going to have to go their whole life without, possibly even leaving Louisiana. And so being able to at least show them something from, across the world.
Yeah.
And then in many cases, letting them safely feel and learn. And I'm a very much hands-on learner. So being able to, touch a tortoise's shell, and things like that, I think is so important. So,
I know, like one of my favorite things is when it's usually like when we're doing a table type display where people come by and just see stuff. And a lot of times you'll get someone that's, oh, a roach. I hate roaches. But then you kind of tell them about them and how this roach that they're looking at is, they don't ever end up in people's houses and eat their food or something. And they're good.
Yeah, like the Madagascar hissing cockroaches. Yeah, those are fascinating. Those are probably the most common roach that people think about outside of a flying cockroach in your house. Yeah.
There's actually some really cool cockroaches, and we are excited. We're having a Halloween event where we're going to have quite a cockroach display that we're excited about.
God, talk about giving the heebie-jeebies, the frisons, as people say. Oh my gosh, my wife cannot stand creepy crawlies, bugs. She freaks out. Like a lizard walks along the sidewalk, she jumps, and my little boy's like, "Oh, where?" And I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, it's just a lizard. Skinks kind of weird me out a little bit because they're a little bit more slick looking, and they kind of crawl almost kind of like a snake. But ultimately, everything that I've ever encountered, especially as an adult, they're all running away from me.
Yeah.
Spiders. Everyone, we have the traditional house spiders like the wolf spiders. I don't ever remember seeing brown recluses in the house. Every time I see a dead spider, or like at least the shell of a dead spider, because I know I just found out recently that if you see a quote-unquote dead spider in your house, chances are that spider's not dead.
That's a molt.
And I'm like, oh my God. That's not comforting at all.
Well, luckily, most of the ones, so especially where we are in Louisiana, there's only 2 and 2.5 that you actually have to be worried about. So like just like the snakes, most of the ones that you see are totally harmless. Like the wolf spiders, they could bite if you like grabbed them.
Like if you forced it.
Yeah. But even if they did bite you, maybe kind of hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
So the only 2 main ones are black widows and brown recluses, and they usually don't like living under your bed.
They're gonna be in high, dark, quiet,
like away
cool.
from people.
Yeah. And then you have your jumping spiders, the little ones with the little.
They're so cute.
They are.
We have one, and you can see her little eyes. She is so cute.
See, I feel like those spiders have such a personality, and maybe it's from Disney cartoons and whatnot that's kind of instilled that in me. But I'm like, they had this way of moving, and they're real robotic almost as in their movement. Like they move really fast, and the way they walk, and then the little mouthpiece where they always had that one. It's almost like they're twiddling their thumbs. I love that, and I had one in my window once in my home, in my little home office, and I just left it there. I just kept it because I'm like, I'm not going to kill it. If I can move it, I would, but I'm like, he's going to stay there.
He's going to keep mosquitoes away.
Yeah. So he's going to stay there, or she, it's hard to know. But sometimes I watch it and I'm like, it's so fascinating that we have such a diversity of creepy crawlies in Louisiana, and it's a lot of them are living in your house, whether you want it or not. I don't even think it matters how much you spray. At some point, they're going to, we have an exterminator that comes, every 3 months, does a little spray inside and outside, but we consistently have spiders. Now, sometimes they're a little less. Thankfully, we don't have roaches. That would be the bad thing. But the spiders, I'm not so upset about spiders. My wife, she's like, it's a spider. But it's usually dead. Every once in a while, there's a live one, and I'll pick it up and, either throw it away or bring it outside if I can, and then or my kid will sometimes step on it. I'm like, oh, God. But anyway, I know you guys are like, why? But yeah, bugs are fascinating. I don't know. I feel like I could talk about this all day long.
So could we.
Yeah. Okay. Well, last question, and then I'll let you guys go because we're at about an hour. And I know, Siena, you were nervous, and are you still nervous?
I'm always nervous.
You're always nervous. Okay, all right. Well,
but I'm happy.
She doesn't show it often, though.
No, she's good. She's good. If there was a bug or an animal that you could have in your fleet of bugs and animals to be able to show off and to care for within reason, whatever the ethical nature of that would be. What one creature would that be?
Coatimundi.
A what?
A coatimundi.
What is that?
It is the coolest little animal, and we will get one day soon. Think raccoon, monkey, cat, all wrapped into one adorable package.
Wow.
They're native to Mexico, and we've seen them in the wild in Mexico. And they're slowly becoming more accessible to get. And we've worked with them a few times, and they're compact enough that I think we could give them a really good home, because that's one thing we did is before the pandemic we had so many animals, and I do feel like we weren't able to provide them everything they needed, which is one reason why we did the rehoming so quickly when things went down. But a coatimundi is big enough that it's fun and impressive and cool, but also known for being sweet and smart and funny, and I think a lot of similar people that do what we do, obviously not in Acadiana, but coatimundis are a pretty popular animal ambassador.
Yeah. All right, I am going to pull up Google here real quick. We're getting close to calling this a wrap, but first of all, I was trying to Google it, and I was putting in Code Monkey.
Sorry.
And there's actually a company called Code Monkey, and I'm like, it's not. And then I heard you say it again, and you said Monday. So I'm like, okay, is that like the country Monday, like with the Monday spelled out, but she just said Monday, or is that Monday with the E at the end? So I
Did you find it?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
I am going to pull up the images now.
What about you, Stephen? What would yours
Mine's
be?
always been a Hercules beetle from South America.
We've had Hercules beetles.
I know.
Those huge beetles.
Yeah.
But they live a year, maybe.
Yeah.
Not even.
As an adult, yeah.
Yeah. They're
All right.
so awesome.
So what I'm showing right now is the coatimundi.
Coatimundi.
Okay.
Or so I think a lot of people call them coaties. Or
Okay. Yeah, they are really
adorable.
Yeah.
Look at them.
They almost look like an anteater / raccoon.
And they use their little hands.
Got the little opposable thumbs, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. We'll get one of these.
All right.
In 2 years. Within 2 years.
Yeah, they are. I don't think I've ever heard of this.
That's kind of one thing we love to do is like
have
people come
weird
to see
animals.
stuff and like,
We had
what is
Patagonian
this?
cavies for quite a while, and they were wonderful, but pretty skittish. I didn't feel like they were very comfortable with this lifestyle, which I think a coatimundi would be. And appreciating a lot of interaction and stimulation.
Right.
But the Patagonian cavies are these funny little deer bunny looking things, and of course every Cajun dad would say, "That's a jackrabbit. We call those a jackrabbit." I'm like, no, sir. That's
Looks similar, but
yeah, but we like having weird stuff that people haven't seen, and obviously mammals are kind of what people kind of want to see the most, and it's what we have the less of, just because they do require so much, and we don't want to put any animals in an unhappy life.
Yeah.
And so we have a few small mammals. We have sugar gliders and chinchillas and a hedgehog.
And they used to sell sugar gliders in the mall.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't buy one, but I thought, man, that has to be the most unethical thing I've ever seen. As a kid, as a teenager, I was like, why are you selling these little guys in a mall, like in the middle of the mall, not at a store, like in the middle of the mall?
Yeah.
Like, you're literally, you have like a backpack full of these things? Like, what are you guys doing?
And they're illegal in a lot of states, and they're becoming illegal in more just
Illegal?
because... Illegal? Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They need a lot, and like, we're the person sitting in my bathroom for an hour every few evenings, letting the two of them jump out and fly around and poop everywhere, and because they deserve so much more. But
Yeah, I mean they're gliders. They need space.
But gosh, they're so incredible. They're such cool creatures.
Well, I got the Hercules beetle pulled up on Google, and so I've seen a big beetle before, a live one, like the pretty decent sized one, but I don't know if it was a Hercules beetle, or maybe it was like
if it was a big, well, there's always caveats, but if it was a large beetle, it's probably from the same subfamily of rhinoceros beetles.
Okay, yeah.
That Hercules beetles are, and we do have a Hercules beetle in Louisiana. It's like greenish with spots, and the males have that same shaped horn.
So the one I'm showing right now has like a yellowish greenish tint to it with spots on it.
Yeah, so that's
And it has
probably ours. Yeah.
The longhorn, yeah.
And we've got some babies coming.
Yeah, we do have some grubs of those.
Oh,
my
okay.
favorites are the same subfamily, but from South America, where the males, the whole beetle is like that big.
Like you need 2 hands to hold
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stop
so
that.
imagine that, but 3 times bigger.
Well, and another thing that we're doing is, unfortunately, as the laws for mammals and things get a little bit stricter, they are making a lot of laws a little less strict about beetles. And so Steven's been breeding smaller beetles for zoos around the country for years. And, hopefully once we get our beetle lab started, we'll be able to start breeding bigger beetles that have not been legal to have as pets in the United States, and hopefully be able to let some kids have big giant beetles as pets.
Dude.
Can you imagine when you were a kid if you could have had a beetle the size of your hand?
I know. That's wild. So I'm seeing photos now of people holding beetles in their hand, and they're huge.
Mm-hmm.
They're very popular pets in Asian countries.
Oh my goodness. They're so cool looking. Yeah, now I see why you would you like that, because it's just fascinating. Well, this was a good conversation. I really appreciate you guys coming in and taking time to talk.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We've had this plan for weeks now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're busy a lot.
That's good.
Not always we have a lot of animals to take care of.
Yeah.
So we're always.
When we're not busy, we're still busy.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go ahead and tell people how they can find you and take advantage of what you offer. So I'm gonna let you have the floor, and then right after that, I'll show the websites, and also the websites are linked in the caption of the video. So if you're listening and are curious, you can click the links. But go ahead and shameless plug, just advertise yourselves.
Well, I think Insect Day is next, September 14th at Wonderland, right near the horse farm. And that's all bugs, except Siena's going to be there with reptiles and maybe some mammals too.
Birds and mammals.
Yeah.
And face painting.
And face painting. But that's going to be,
Okay.
just amazingly fun. And then
the best way to find out what's up to date would be Facebook and Instagram. We try to post pretty regularly. In Facebook, we have a lot of different, homeschool groups and event groups. So you can find us at Schoolhouse Safari or Safari Station. We kind of go by both names now. And then we have our phone is textable.
Okay.
We really appreciate texts over phone calls, because even when we do have time to talk on the phone, you can imagine there's screaming parrots. And so we can get in touch. 337-216-5788 is our phone number, which you can call, but text instead. Email schoolhousesafari@gmail.com. Yeah, where our learning center is open by appointment only, located downtown.
Yep.
So at this point, we don't have open hours that you can just come by, but we host a lot of different events with a lot of different age ranges and price ranges, and
we do have some big plans for the future.
We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. We're working together with the Acadiana Princess Parties to do a trick-or-treat haunted house at the beginning of October.
Are you going to have spiders come down, real live spiders come down and touch people?
We are changing the entire Safari Station into a haunted house.
Wow.
And there will be lots of spiders and snakes and all sorts of stuff. And princesses and villains. And yeah.
Seems wild.
It's going to be. We're very excited about it. But,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the websites here. I know.
Oh yeah, our websites are.
So
under
this one right here is safaristation.org. It is in a coming soon status, and then you have there, I guess, the one that has more information on it, schoolhousesafari.com. So you can kind of get a little bit more of photos and different things. And I guess you still have packages and all that stuff all in there still.
Right. Yes. But also, our packages, we have our packages, but we do aim to be as flexible as we can. So if you're looking at our site and you don't see what you're looking for, I mean, we've been part of weddings. We've been, we do everything. If we can do it, if we can make it happen, if people want to experience these animals, we'll do everything we can to let them.
And I see on your Facebook you have Insect Day at Wonderland. And then, and you have tons of pictures of all kind of stuff, different animals, like the little hedgehog. Oh, my gosh. See, cool stuff. So with that, thank you guys for coming on. And I enjoyed talking bugs and animals and creepy crawlies and all that good stuff.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so hopefully, if somebody that's listening or watching is wanting to take advantage of what you guys offer, and they do that, and hopefully you get some business from this. If not, it was still a great conversation, and I enjoyed kind of learning a little bit more and realizing now that I wasn't truly being chased by a blue runner snake in my early childhood. So that's comforting.
Maybe you were. Maybe it was the one snake that's ever chased anyone.
The one snake. I know. God. All right. Well, with that, again, thank you for coming on, and y'all have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, guys, that is it. Have a great weekend and enjoy the weekend. Anyway, see you later.